Advaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Yatinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Namo Mahadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradhayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dena Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindhavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees for today's Bhakti Vaibhav class. So last Sunday, we were discussing from chapter 28, wherein having heard about Atma from the Brahmana who suddenly arrived while Vidarbhi was preparing herself to enter into the funeral fire of her husband. Just both of them went to Vanaprasada to the forest. They were performing austerities. One day, suddenly, the husband left her his body. She cried for some time, then prepared all the necessary things for the final rites. She prepared chiti and kept her husband's body on top of that. She burnt it. Then, when she was about to enter into that, the Brahmana came and inquired her who is she and who is he, etc. Does he remember him, etc., etc. So eventually, he reveals one should understand the true knowledge that is about Atma and Paramatma. And he also reveals Vaidarbhi about his previous life, that of Puranjana, because he was associating with Puranjani for the purpose of enjoying. He was supposed to go through repeated cycle of birth and death. All these things was mentioned there. So now in the today's chapter, 29th chapter, King Prachinambari says that, my dear sir, thank you very much for telling all this wonderful story, but I have not understood the meaning of the words you have used. Can you please elaborate the meaning? So with that inquiry, the chapter explains the meaning of the entire story. Though we have already studied, storyline is going on something about city of 9 gates and all. That is actually talking about the human body where the soul is residing. We have already seen. What we have already seen is explained in the later chapter of the Bhagavatam that we are going to see today. That is only for few verses, but later on Narada Muni gives actual teachings, what exactly needed for a sadhaka to progress in one's spiritual life. So that is the topic of 29th chapter. The talks between Narada and King Prachinambari. This is one of the big chapters. There are about 85 verses are there. So we'll go through neatly. So in the 29th chapter, the spiritual explanation of the story of Puranjana is given, along with questions from the king concerning karma and a story illustrate renunciation vairagya. So some important topics are also dealt with in this chapter. So about 85 verses are there. This is the brief breakdown. Up till 25 verses is all about the story, explaining the meaning of the story that was mentioned in the previous chapters. And then Narada Muni talks about how a person is born in this material world and how to get out of the material world by practicing bhakti, and how the karmis need to elevate themselves to practice jnana, and then they need to go to Vanaprasthada to the forest and practice jnana and bhakti, etc. Then Prachinambari thinks that I'll go once my sons come here, I'll make them the kings and then I'll go. But then Narada says that no, you should not wait till then. In order to inspire Vairagya in the heart of Prachinabari immediately, he tells another story. So with that, the chapter ends. So that is the subject matter. We'll start with verse number 1 onwards. Prachina barhir uvacha bhagavanste vachosmabhir na samyak avagamyate kavayastad vijananti navayam karma mohita.
King Prachinbari replied, "My dear lord, we could not appreciate completely the purport of your allegorical story of King Puranjana. Actually, those who are perfect in spiritual knowledge can understand, but for us who are overly attached to fruitive activities, to realize the purpose of your story is very difficult."
Yeah, he says that I am attached to karma kanda rituals. For me, it is difficult to understand the meaning of the story you have told, which has a lot of import, deep purports are there. Can you please explain what is the purport of the story? Something like that is asking. Oh great devotee, oh Bhagavan, I cannot completely understand. I have understood superficially, but not completely. Your words, your story. The wise understand, but I cannot, since I am bewildered by karma. The wise people, as you mentioned in the previous section, they understand about Atma and Paramatma, they understand the meaning of your story. But persons like me who are bewildered by karma, who are attached to karma kanda rituals, cannot understand the true meaning of your story. So please reveal. So for this, the Prabhupada quotes a verse from 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Tribir gunamair bhave ebi sarvam idam jagat mohitam nabi janati mam ebya paramavayam. Being bewildered by three modes of material nature, one does not know that I am transcendental to them, and knowing me, one will come to me. That information is not available to the people who are deluded by three modes of material nature. So, in that way. Same way here is also doing same thing. So, in the last paragraph, Prabhupada says that the 29th chapter describes that by too much attachment for women, one becomes a woman in the next life. That was the story of Puranjana. He became Vaidarbhi. But a person who associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead or is representative becomes free from all material attachments and is thus liberated. So association matters. With whom we associate, that matters and that determines our future. So that is a kind of unspoken lesson from this chapter. Yeah, someone was saying something, Hare Krishna. Any question was there?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. I have understood a little of the meaning of the story. That's how he continues. Narada told in 4th chapter, 28th chapter, text number 65. He said something interesting. Barishman etat adhyatmam parokshena pradarchitam. Yat paroksha priyo devo Bhagavan Vishwabhavana. There he said that, O King Prachina Barhi, actually I have given you spiritual instructions indirectly, parokshena, through an allegorical story. Since the Lord acting for the welfare of the universe is fond of indirect expression. The Supreme Lord likes to be spoken indirectly. He does not want things to be spoken directly. Even that is the procedure used in Bhagavad Gita also. Lord Krishna himself says that Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyaksha Avagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartum Avyayam. That Ananya Bhakti is said to be Rajavidya and it is kept as a topmost secret, Rajaguhyam. Since it cannot be revealed to anyone and everyone, it is hidden in the midst of the teachings of the Vedic literatures. Even within Bhagavad Gita also, it is kept in the middle two chapters. Chapter 9 and chapter 10 specifically talks about Ananya Bhakti. Otherwise, people might consider that the essence is generally told at the end. So last part of Bhagavad Gita is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. So people in general consider Jnana to be essence of the Bhagavad Gita because Jnana is being spoken in the last 6 chapters. Intentionally only, Lord kept Ananya Bhakti secretly in the middle of the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, so that those who really want the true teachings of the book will find it. Others, they'll move on with other things to be considering them to be the essence of the book. So that is the understanding. Do not take this to be simply a story. On the pretext of telling a story about a king, I have given spiritual instruction because the Lord is fond of expression. So it is like that. Even in the 11th canto, Lord Krishna says, though the Vedic literatures are directly my words, my direct expression, but Bhakti is not spoken directly in the Vedas. Lord Krishna says in the Uddhava Gita, 11th canto Bhagavatam, Veda Brahmartha Vishayas, Trikanda Vishaya Ime, Paroksha Vada Rushaya, Paroksha Mamacha Priya. It means the Vedas describe their teachings in 3 divisions. There are 3 sections in the Vedas. Section, Jnana Kanda section, Upasana Kanda section. These 3 sections are talking about so many different things, but they never ever talk about Bhakti directly. Bhakti is kept secretly. We generally hear that the essence of the Vedas is there in the Upanishads. The Vedas in general talk about Karma Kanda. The Upanishads talk about Jnana Kanda. And the essence of all the Upanishads is there in Bhagavad Gita. Sarvo Upanishado Gavo Dogda Gopala Nandana. So that's what Gita Mahatmya we hear. So all the Upanishads are considered to be a cow, and Lord Krishna becoming the cowherd man, making Partho Vasta Sudhir Bhokta, making Arjuna at the calf, and for the purpose of the enjoyment of the Sudhir, the highly intelligent people, those who are highly intelligent, those who really seeking for the true essence of Bhagavad Gita, true essence of all the Vedas, Dugdam Gita Amrutam Mahat. Lord Krishna extracted the very essence of the Upanishads, which are the essence of the Vedas, in the form of Bhagavad Gita. And that Bhagavad Gita in the beginning talks about karma, in the end talks about jnana, in the middle talks about bhakti. In that bhakti also there are 2 types of bhakti, Aishwarya Bhakti and Madhurya Bhakti. So from Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, we can call Ananya Bhakti as Madhurya Bhakti. Aishwarya Bhakti is basically Mishra Bhakti, serving the Lord with awe and reverence, with little bit of mixture of karma and jnana and yoga, karma mishra, jnana mishra, yoga mishra bhakti. That is Aishwarya Bhakti. So without any mixture of all these other things, only with the pure intention of serving the Lord, intimacy, that is called Ananya Bhakti. And from Gaudiya Vaishnava point of view, we can take it as Madhurya Bhakti, Bhakti of Vrajavasis. So this Bhakti is kept hidden. It is not directly spoken. Only Acharyas reveal us the meaning of this Bhakti. So in that way, even though Lord Krishna himself, who extracted the essence of all the Upanishads, which are the essence of all the Vedas in the form of Bhagavad Gita, within that Bhagavad Gita, he kept Madhurya Bhakti hidden. He in himself says that Raja Vidya Rajaguyam. He does not speak out directly. So it is like that. So that is the glory of Ananya Bhakti. So indirectly, Narada Muni is speaking that Bhakti only, that Ananya Bhakti and Aishwarya Bhakti combined together is speaking, but he did not speak it directly. Indirectly he spoke. And our king says that I have not understood, sir. Please, please elaborate, give the purport so that I can understand. want to give me that spiritual instructions. So this was the question. The answer to this question: what are the spiritual instructions that Narada Muni wanted to give to Prachina Bari and to all of us who are all supposed to be, are expected to be reading Bhagavatam and following Bhagavatam? Will be coming in the entire chapter. So this chapter will reveal us. Though we may hear that Susukam Kartum Avayam, Bhakti is very easy to practice. But to understand what Bhakti is all about, if you go through this chapter, we'll understand how technical it is. Bhakti also involves so many technical things. It is not that we may hear that Rajavasi's Bhakti is very simple. But to come to Rajavasi's Bhakti, one need to pass through Aishwarya Bhakti. Then only one can enter into Madhurya Bhakti. Without passing through, one can never ever enter into Madhurya Bhakti. So, but Aishwarya Bhakti involves in understanding so many technical subject matters. So this chapter is a glimpse of the so many technical things involved in that Aishwarya Bhakti. So let us try to understand slowly. Purusham Puranjanam Vidyat Yadvyanakti Atmana Puram Ekadvitri Chatuspadam Bahupadam Apadakam.
The great sage Narad Muni continued, you must understand that Puranjana, the living entity, transmigrates according to his own work into different types of bodies, which may be one-legged, two-legged, three-legged, four-legged, many-legged, or simply legless. Transmigrating into these various types of bodies, the living entities as the so-called enjoyer is known as Puranjana.
Yeah. In the first verse introduces who are the Puranjana. It introduces the very close friend of Puranjana, the Avijñat Saka, the Paramatma. So like that, the meaning of each words that are being used in the entire story will be revealed all the way up to verse number 25. So Narada said, know that Puranjana is the Jiva. Purusham Puranjanam Vidyad. My dear king, understand that Puranjana is Purusha. The definition of Puranjana is Pura Ranjayati iti Purusha. Having situated himself in the city of 9 gates, he who enjoys is called Puranjana. Purusham means Pura Tishtati iti Purusha. He who stays in the city of 9 gates, that person is called Purusha. Both Jivatma and Paramatma are situated within the human body of 9 gates. So both are called Purushas from that sense. Purusha or Kshetrajna, they are all synonyms to each other. So know that Puranjana is the Jiva who manifests his city or body with one leg, two leg, three leg, or many legs, sometimes without legs at all. So these are the different cities a Jiva gets to stay. So Prabhupada explains what is one leg, what is two legs, what is three legs, what is 4 legs, and many legs, like reptiles, snakes, animals, birds, human beings, like different variety of animals are there, insects, etc. etc. Different legs are there in that. यो विज्ञाताहृतस्तस्य पुरुषस्य सकेश्वरः यन्न विज्ञायते पुंबेर्नामभिर्वा क्रियागुणैः.
The person I have described as unknown is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master and eternal friend of the living entity. Since the living entities cannot realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead by material names, activities, or qualities, he remains everlastingly unknown to the conditioned soul.
This defines Paramatma. He who was described as unknown, Avijñata, the Jiva, Purushasya Saka, is the Supreme Lord, Ishvara, the Supreme Controller. Since man does not recognize him by his names, by his actions, or by his qualities, Paramatma is there along with us in the core of the heart. since time immemorial, but we do not recognize him. We do not understand about his existence. We are completely indifferent of his existence. So that's what is indicated. Even though he's performing so many activities in front of our eyes, but we can't recognize him. Who is he? How is he? Etc. etc. Ishvara sarvabhutana middesh ajuttishtati pramayan sarvabhutani yantra rudani maya. It is he who is operating all our bodies. The people, they're able to talk, they're able to see, they're able to shake hands, they are able to move around, they're able to dance, jump, walk, run. Everything is because of the presence of Paramatma only. But we don't see Paramatma only. We see the activities of the people, but we don't see the Paramatma. So that is the problem. He who was described by the word unknown is the Lord, is the Paramatma. SB 1120. I think it is 1120, not 120. Kritavan kila karmane saharamena Keshava. Satyani Bhagavan Guda Kapata Manusha. Even though when Lord Krishna and Balramji was around performing so many wonderful activities, majority of people did not understand that they are the Supreme Lords. They thought that these two are most powerful, most beautiful, most intellectual Kshatriyas. To that extent only they understood. They have not understood that they are the personality of Godheads. That is the normal understanding. Even when the Lord was around in front, in the midst of them, performing wonderful activities, still many did not understand that they are Supreme Lord. That's how he bewilders us. So that is the understanding. So this is about the Supreme Lord. The only way we can understand him is by associating his devotees. Only the devotees know about the Lord. Only they can reveal the Lord to us. No one else in this world can help us understand the Supreme Lord except the devotees. So devotees association is so important in that matter. यदा जिगृक्षन् पुरुषः कृष्णस्तेना प्रकृतेर्गुणान् नवद्वारं द्वियस्ताङ्ग्रे तत्र मनुत साध्विति.
When the living entity wants to enjoy the modes of material nature in their totality, he prefers out of many bodily forms to accept that body which has 9 gills, 2 hands, and 2 legs. Thus, he prefers to become a human being or a demigod.
Yeah. When the jiva desires to enjoy the gunas of prakriti fully, when the jiva desires to enjoy the gunas of prakriti fully, that means the gunas of prakriti means the 5 tanmatras: Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. That is what a jiva can enjoy in the material world, nothing more than that. All our enjoyment is nothing but the combination of these 5 tanmatras. So thus, when the jiva desires to enjoy the gunas of prakriti fully, he thinks that among the different bodies, the one with 9 openings, 2 hands and 2 feet is most suitable. In order to fully enjoy, the jiva thinks that human body is the most suitable body than the bodies of the animals, plants, other things, etc. etc. Because human body can award complete enjoyment. That is the third process of the jiva, the Puranjana. That's why when he comes to the city of 9 gates, he desires to make his kingdom there. He desires to stay there. He desires to enjoy, experience joy there. So it's like that. Atra means among the bodies of the different species, like animals, the human body, the best, which can offer the enjoyment in complete sense. So having come to human body, one develops Icha and Dvesha. And that Icha and Dvesha, but Icha Dvesha basically likes something and does not like something. So with this Icha Dvesha, the jiva is bound in this material world only. In order to fulfill one's icha, one performs activities. In order to fulfill one's dvesha, one performs activities. And those activities bind the jiva in this material world, life after life. That's what Prabhupada quotes from Bhagavad Gita, saying that Icha Dvesha Samuttena Dvanda Mohena Bharata Sarva Bhutani Sammoham Sarge Yanti Parantapa. So all the living entities are after coming to this material world are retained in the material world because of the concept of Icha and Dvesha. So it's like that. Though all the activities are done by the body, but we identify that we are the doers. The doership mentality actually binds us in this material world. As soon as we come out of the doership mentality, we become qualified to return back home, back to Godhead. That is the key factor. From the key of the entire Bhagavad Gita is that we need to come out of the mentality of I am the doer and everything that I do belongs to me. Doership and enjoyership mentality say we need to get freedom from these two mentalities. That is the key of the entire Bhagavad Gita. बुद्धिं तु प्रमदां विद्यान् ममाहम् इति यत्कृतं याम् अधिष्ठाय देहेऽस्मिन् पुमान् भुङ्क्ते अक्षभिर्गुणान्.
The great sage Narada continued. The word pramada mentioned in this regard refers to material intelligence or ignorance. It is to be understood as such. When one takes shelter of this kind of intelligence, he identifies himself with the material body. Influenced by the material consciousness of I and mine, he begins to enjoy and suffer through his senses. Thus, the living entity is entrapped.
Here Narada Muni says that know that the woman is intelligence and her chitta, which is actually ignorant. The Puranjani, the lady who invited Puranjana to stay in that city and who promised unlimited enjoyment for the king, Puranjana, is the intelligence as well as chitta. But in our story, she is actually ignorance, avidya, which produces the concepts of I and mine. Because though she is intelligence, though she is chitta, but she only produces the concepts of I and ahankara and mamakara, as a result of which she is called as avidya. Taking shelter of which the jiva enjoys the gunas, the jiva enjoys the five tanmatras, shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, with his senses being situated in that particular human body. So that is the understanding. So what do you mean by ignorance? What do you mean by that Puranjani is ignorance? The understanding is Buddhi means ignorance, not concerned about the knowledge of Atma and Paramatma, but only concerned about Dharma, Artha, Kama. So that is understanding. The Buddhi or the Chitta about which we have studied in the previous chapters, the Puranjani, she only inspires one to how to accomplish Dharma, Artha, Kama. It never inspires one to endeavor for attaining Moksha or Krishna Prema. Because moksha, attainment of moksha or Krishna Prema involves in the understanding of the knowledge of Atma and Paramatma. So that Buddhi about which we talked, that Chitta about which we talked in the previous chapters, never ever inspires the Jiva to try to make an effort to understand about Atma and Paramatma. So that's why she is called as ignorance. So it is like that. But those who take shelter of the devotees association, those who take the shelter of the Supreme Lord, they get Vidya. They will get the true understanding of what Atma is, what Paramatma is. Having understood that, what one is supposed to do in order to reunite with the Paramatma. That will be possible only by the mercy of devotees or the Supreme Lord. That's what Lord Krishna, Prabhupada quotes from Bhagavad Gita, which Lord Krishna says in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Tesham sata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yenama upayantite. Tesham satata yuktanam, for those devotees who want to serve the Lord for the rest of eternity in person, in Lord's abode, in the spiritual world. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. And with that intention, who executes bhakti with priti purvakam, with complete affection and attachment. For that kind of people, Lord Krishna says that Dadami buddhiyogam tam, I reveal them the true buddhi, not the ignorant buddhi. Here also we are talking about buddhi only. This buddhi is both intelligence as well as chitta. And Lord Krishna promises that for those devotees who desire to come to spiritual world and serve the Lord for the rest of eternity, being one of his eternal associate, and execute sadhana bhakti here with priti purvakam. With that intention, execute sadhana bhakti here priti purvakam, with complete attachment, love and affection. For such devotees, Lord says that Tadami buddhi yogam tam, I reveal the true buddhi and true chitta, by which they execute bhakti in the proper order, and eventually they'll come to my spiritual abode where they will get the opportunity to serve me in person. Enamam upayantite. They'll come to my abode. Mam upayantite. They will be situated next to me in my spiritual abode. That's how Lord Krishna promises. So from our part, we need to exhibit the desire to serve the Lord in person for the rest of eternity. And Lord will orchestrate how to bring us back to Godhead. So it's like that. 50-50, as Damodar Lila says, 2 fingers short. So in that way.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
I had this confusion. This intelligence, intelligence, mind, false ego, and Chetana, they cover the soul. They are with alone the soul.
Yes.
And then how do they go in search of another? Like Puranjan is a body, only a body, or it is a soul?
No, Puranjana is the soul.
Then it
Puranjana
already
is going to stay in the body. Body is the city of 9 gates, the town. We're having the 9 entrances, that is the body. Puranjana is the soul itself, soul himself.
So it is the soul inside the subtle body, no?
No, just soul. The city itself is both the combination of gross body and subtle body.
So this subtle body, this is a story between the subtle body and the gross body. Puranjan and Puranjani.
Puranjana is the soul. Puranjani is the intelligence as well as the Chetana. It is the story between the subtle body and the soul.
Okay.
And subtle body will promise that I'll give you complete enjoyment in this gross body.
Okay.
Because the subtle body is accompanying the soul to different bodies. But when the subtle body sees a gross body, the city of 9 gates, she says that I'll give you complete enjoyment here. Stay here.
So
she promises.
So Puranjan is the gross body.
No. Puranjana is the soul. Puranjani is the subtle body.
Okay. But the subtle body is always, it is always around the soul only, no? The soul accompanies the subtle body wherever it goes, within Mahavishnu or after the Pralay. After it is always accompanied by the soul.
Yes, that is true. But in the story, we have to see like this. Here in the story, see, try to see like this. Instead of saying that subtle body is accompanying the soul, we should see it like this. The soul is following the subtle body. It is subtle body which takes the soul from one body to other body. The soul is not taking the subtle body from one gross body to other body. Instead, it is the subtle body with the intention of fulfilling the desires, taking the soul to some other gross body. Because subtle body promises the enjoyment to the soul in this material world. When the soul says, here in this city I have not obtained enough enjoyment, then subtle body says that no problem, I'll take you to some other grass body. There I'll give you full enjoyment. So that's how they kind of facilitate the enjoyment of the soul.
Okay. So Puranjan is the gross body.
No, Mataji, Puranjana is the soul.
Okay.
1 second. Know that Puranjana is the Jiva. Jiva means Atma. Puranjani is Atma only. Puranjani is the subtle body. And the city of 9 gates is the gross body.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Puranjana means Pura Ranjayati iti Puranjana. He who stays in the city and enjoys in the city is called Puranjana. The soul enjoys actually. Ultimately, the soul is the enjoyer.
Okay.
Soul is the Purusha or Puranjana.
Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, bro.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, I have one doubt then regarding this Aishwarya Bhakti. In Aishwarya Bhakti also there is pure devotional service, right? So, but
yes.
so, but you said that Aishwarya Bhakti generally has contamination of karma, gnana.
It is not
And
contamination. It is not a contamination. Never ever say it is contamination. It is by default it will be there. Karma Mishra, Jnana Mishra, Yoga Mishra is by default it will be there in Aishwarya Bhakti.
So generally we see it as contamination, right? Karma,
that is the
Gnana,
problem.
Mishra.
You should not see it as a contamination. It is a necessary thing. It will be there, without which you cannot practice.
Then in Chaitanya Charitamrita also it is said that these two are contaminations, right?
Which two are?
Karma, Gnana.
Karma in itself, Jnana in itself, if they overpower Bhakti, they are contamination. If they are assisting Bhakti, they are not contamination. They are only helping friends.
Okay.
That's why Rupa Goswami says that, no. Jnana karmadi anavrutam. Jnana and karma should not cover one's desire to practice Bhakti. In our daily activity, there can be some Jnana and karma also. But they should help our practice of Bhakti. They should not cover our Bhakti and they should not become prominent in our execution of daily activities.
Okay.
Otherwise, Rupa Goswami must have said that Jnana karmadi shunyam. So, Uttama Bhakti should have zero Jnana, zero karma. He did not say like that. Anavrutam means they will be there, but they will not overpower our Bhakti. They will assist our Bhakti.
Okay, because what the way I understood is that Jnana contamination, when we say it is contamination, it is like the desire to have liberation and
that
to
Jnana
take
is different. That Jnana is different.
Okay.
We are discussing about Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, and Yoga Mishra Bhakti. They are like, you want to have milk. What is the best way to have milk? Milk alone, or you want to add something in the milk? Some kesar, some haldi, some dry fruits, and some sugar. So like that.
Okay. So what is the definition of karma and gnana here? Definition of karma is?
Where?
So in the definition that you told, definition of pure devotional service, you
in
said
that
karma
pure
can be
devotional
there,
service,
karma can be there, gnana can be there, but they should not cover.
they will not
pure
cover
devotion.
Bhakti. Yes.
So what is the definition of karma and gnana there? So what is the component of karma and how do we understand?
Karma is the aspect of the duties, the varnashram duty that we perform according to our position. Especially karma means the household duties.
Okay.
And jnana means those activities connected to performance of tapasya, study of shastra. They are like jnana.
Okay.
See, in the Madhurya Bhakti, in the case of Rajavasis, they don't worry about studying Shastra so much. For them, Bhakti is spontaneous.
Okay.
But in the case of Aishwarya Bhakti, there is a compulsory element of studying Shastra, understanding the vibhutis of Lord. That's why Lord Krishna talks about vibhutis in the 7th chapter, 9th chapter, 10th chapter. Understanding what is the Aishwarya of the Lord, that is Aishwarya Bhakti. We become devotees by understanding the greatness of the Lord, that is Aishwarya Bhakti.
Okay.
So that component of understanding Lord's opulences is jnana.
Okay.
Mm.
So that is still pure devotional service because
Yes, yes,
okay.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, correct.
Mm.
Okay. So when we say Gnana Mishra Bhakti, so what is that? This is not pure devotional service, right? It has the desire to have liberation.
Nahi
That
Baba.
is
Jnana Mishra Bhakti is not liberation, that is Aishwarya Bhakti. Bhakti Mishra Jnana is aiming for Sayujya Mukti. They
okay. Bhakti
actually
Mishra Gnana.
practice.
Okay.
There the milk is Jnana, sugar is Bhakti.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Here Jnana Mishra Bhakti, milk is Bhakti, which is 95% of the quantity. And
Okay.
5% of the quantity is sugar. Sugar or kesar or haldi or ginger,
Okay.
all these things.
Okay.
They are all side component to enhance the taste.
Okay.
It's like that.
Got understood, bro.
They are not contaminations. They are actually those things which are necessary to enhance one's practice. For
Okay.
example, see, I am talking about Aishwarya Bhakti being Karma Mishra Bhakti. All devotees, all our congregation devotees, all need to do some duties in relation to their Varna or Ashrama. As per our modern context, they need to work in some office for which they were trained since childhood.
Yeah.
So that is Karma Mishra Bhakti. They are all devotees only. They dedicate their life to practice Bhakti. But in order to maintain them, they need to do some daily activities which are
Okay.
according to their Varna. And Ashrama is anyway gross ashram. So that becomes Karma Mishra Bhakti. The same way, when a Guruvasa does not do any activities for their livelihood, that Bhakti becomes Ananya Bhakti. Example is Srivas Tagore. Did
Okay.
Srivas Tagore or his family members never went to any occupation to earn some money?
No.
So that becomes Ananya Bhakti.
Okay.
Only Bhakti activities, no other occupational duties.
Okay.
So that is Ananya Bhakti.
Okay.
So that's how I see the difference between Karma Mishra Bhakti and Ananya Bhakti for an householder. And for a renounced, they also have some duties of the particular ashrama, whether it could be brahmacharya or vanaprastha or sannyasa. No, brahmacharya, not vanaprastha, sannyasa. Whatever duties of vanaprastha or sannyasa, they are come in the category of jnana. And bhakti is bhakti. So they perform chota mota duties in relation to their ashrama. That is jnana aspect, and then remaining all bhakti. That becomes jnana mishra bhakti.
Okay. So this Swadhyaya and other things come under Gnana.
Swadhyaya, tapasya under all fall under vairagya. They fall under jnana aspect.
Okay. So can you please also give some references? I want to go in detail. So
Please read Teachings of Lord Kapila.
Teachings of Lord Kapila in Bhagavatam. Our book.
Yes.
Book.
Bhagavatam only, third canto.
Okay.
You get complete details.
Okay. Clear. Bro. Thank you, bro.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, this Ananya Bhakti which we were discussing just now, it can be done only at the platform of Bhava or Prema. No? Otherwise, at the level of Sadhaka, it will be always Karma Mishra Bhakti. Right?
From Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamr Sindhu, this Ananya Bhakti, he calls it as Raganuga Bhakti. That starts at the level of Asakti. In Asakti level, it is called as Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. At the Bhava level and Prema level, it calls it as Raganuga Sadhya Bhakti.
Yeah.
So from Asakti onwards, it begins.
Okay. So
Basically,
yeah.
we can call it as Raganuga Bhakti.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji. So below Asakti stage, it will be always Karma Mishra Bhakti, depending on the surrender and situation of a devotee.
Yes, yes. That we call it as Vedi Sadhana Bhakti. What we are all doing is Vedi Sadhana Bhakti. So in all our daily duties, we have some mixture of karma component, we have some mixture of jnana component, and some yoga component also sometimes.
Yeah.
So they are there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you continue, Prabhuji.
They are there, but they do not block our desire to practice bhakti. They simply act as an assistant. So that's how we have to see.
Okay. And as once devotion will progress, I think the component of karma will go on decreasing and the component of bhakti will go on increasing.
That's what.
Yeah, it will be a gradual process, not sudden.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It is a that's what we are under. Currently, we are under training. So eventually, so right now we are Krishna conscious for 2 hours in a day. Eventually, the day should come. We should be Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. So that becomes Ananya Bhakti.
Okay. Thank you.
Ananya Bhakti means Ananya Chintayantomam Ye Jana Parvipasate. There is no other chinta other than serving the Lord. But currently we have so many responsibilities. We need to take care of our family members. The wife has to take care of the husband and children. Husband has to take care of the wife and children, also parents and also relatives, friends, and office. So many responsibilities are there. So currently we are doing Karma Mishra, Jnana Mishra Bhakti. So when there is no tension of other responsibilities, one can peacefully execute only bhakti. That means only Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Only these 9 things. That is called Ananya Bhakti. So in that way.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
So what you mean is to say that if you do not bother about the bodily maintenance, how it is going to come, and if you exclusively focus on devotional service, so no anxieties, no cares about the body, so then it is called as Ananya Bhakti, right?
So not like that. If we prematurely neglect our body and mind, we become mad.
Okay.
When one comes to the platform of Bhava Prema, automatically it happens. One no need to worry about the maintenance of the body and all. It automatically takes place. Like the Goswamis, they are there. They are immersed, completely immersed in Smaranam. They are simply doing Lila Smaranam or whatever Smaranam they are going through. They are writing the books and all. So that is all happening at their level. They are not worried about bodily maintenance. It used to take care automatically. Sometimes Srimati Radharani personally would come and provide, prepare meals and provide to Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. So like that, then it becomes the Lord's responsibility to take care of their maintenance. So it's like that.
Okay. So in this regard, can I ask one more question?
What?
So some places Prabhupada gives different definitions. Like in one place he says that a pure devotee is one who is sincerely following in the footsteps of pure devotee. That means
yes,
like following in the footsteps of the spiritual master. That is one definition of pure devotee. Another place he says that one who already attained perfection is a pure devotee. So different definitions are there.
Even a Karma Mishra Bhakta, Jnana Mishra Bhakta and Yoga Mishra Bhakta is also a pure devotee. We are not saying that only Ananya Bhakta is a pure devotee. Pure devotee means pure intention.
Okay.
No subsidiary intentions, not for name, fame, and prestige in this material world. They are not practicing bhakti for that. They are sincerely practicing bhakti to serve the Lord and Vaishnavas. But as per the need of the hour, they also need to take care of their family members, friends, and relatives. So that is a duty. They are doing it.
Okay.
That is also pure bhakti. So it is you should never ever see them as contamination.
Okay.
It's like that.
Clear, Prabhu.
Because every one of us cannot come to the level of Goswamis immediately. We need to go through a lot of training. So for that, we need to do all our things. If we don't take care who are around us, how can we take care the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world? We have to show our desire to serve the Lord exclusively by taking care of those who are. Principle is same. If we are not showing that principle, displaying that principle here, how can we display that principle there in the spiritual world? So it's like that. Hare Krishna. Is it clear? Am I saying something different than usually you hear? And this is what we
No,
discussed in our Bhakti Shastri Bhagavad Gita and NOD class also. Those who are coming from Bhakti Shastri classes might have remembered or forgotten, no idea. But we discussed the same thing in teachings of Lord Kapila also many times.
no, it's very clear, Prabhuji. You explained very nicely.
Very clear.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Just one thing I wanted to ask. You made the last statement that we have to serve here to our people.
Ah,
That's when we will be able to serve the Lord, right?
ah,
In the spiritual world. But here, when we talk about serving the family members or the people around us, we
hmm,
talk about service without attachment.
hmm.
We talk about the development of detachment is very much required for practicing bhakti, even though we are serving the people. Whereas in
Hmm.
the spiritual world, we'll be serving the Lord with lot of attachment.
Okay.
So, do we create that attachment here, being in the material world, practicing with our family, or how do we go about it?
See, attachment for what and detachment from what, that should be understood. Here, when we are serving our family members, we should have detachment from their bodies and we should have attachment to their souls. And when we
Okay.
are serving in the spiritual world, there is no concept of body. So there is only one concept of attachment. Because everyone is spirits only there. So attachment to spirit. Whether in the material world or spiritual world, the principle is same. Attachment to spirit, detachment to the matter.
So when we say I have attachment for my family members, for their soul also, still it is attachment.
No, no, no. If the attachment is on the soul spirit level, it is okay. If the attachment is on the body level, that is binding.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing them as the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and serving them according to the need of the hour, that is also okay. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Asini Suni Chaiva Swakecha Pandita Samdarshana
Hmm.
Mamai Vamshe Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Tushrushitadanasya Vasudeva Katarji Sam Mahasevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. See, I am trying to say that serving principle
Hmm.
here in the middle world, what happens now? We always distinguish a friend, enemy. I only serve friend, I don't serve enemy. There is a duality always.
Yeah, yeah.
So we need to come out a little bit from that. That's why the Acharyas, the Goswamis are said as Dhira, Dhira, Janapriya Karao.
Hmm.
They are dear to both Dhira and Adhira. So
Hmm.
whatever they would serve everyone. They don't distinguish people, good or bad, bad or good, friend, enemy, etc. etc. But this is a principle. It may not be practical at every instant in our life, but we should strive to come to that principle, try to implement that principle as much as possible.
Yeah,
So it
say
is
that.
okay. So I
Yeah.
mean, just I want to add one point. It means I mean to say that spirit of service should be there. When people are obstructing our bhakti, we can be little bit indifferent to them, but we should not avoid the spirit of service. So in that way. So serve them as a matter of duty, not as loving, affectionate service. If they are an obstacle to one's practice of bhakti, but we should not hate them. We should remain neutral if possible. It is very difficult. I am speaking all after things. Even I myself don't practice. It is very difficult to come to that point, but we need to train ourselves to come to that point one day. We should be neutral. We should do our duty. And that means we should serve them as a matter of duty and then move on. So
Yeah,
because
got it.
we need to
Yeah.
cultivate that principle of service. That's what I'm saying.
See, the issue what happens is when our what do you call it, philosophy is clear that everybody is the spirit soul,
Hmm.
but that realization doesn't even come with our own self because we identify so much with the body. What to speak of identifying other people's, soul as soul.
Hmm. That's why we need to hammer it again and again. Then only we'll understand. Because for many lifetimes we were living with the concept of body. So to come out of that needs lot of what we can say, lot of purification. So that is possible by hammering again and again, again and again. We need to hear constantly, we need to read constantly, we need to speak constantly. One day it will come. So don't worry. I am speaking in the class. Once I come out of the classroom, again back to square. I myself, I am not an exception.
That's your humility too. Anyway, thank you so much.
Not humility, reality.
Mhm. Hare Krishna.
But this is my understanding of reading Bhakti Rasam Sindhu. Of course, the NOD, the Sanskrit version of NOD, the full book. So Rupa Goswami and Jio Goswami, Srila Vishnu Thakur's commentary indirectly speak about it. Sarvar Takila Chesta. So like that many places, they indicate this. The principle of service should never be negated. That should be cultivated. If all the family members are devotees, we don't think about this, all this. When there are mixed people are there, then we have trouble. So then slowly but still we need to continue the spirit of service, at least as a matter of duty. So it's like that. Okay, we'll go ahead.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, Rohit.
Sakaya Indriyagana Jnanam Karma cha Yatskrutam Sakyastadvruttaya Pranaha Panchavrittir Yatoragaha.
The five working senses and the five senses that acquire knowledge are all male friends of Puranjani. The living entity is assisted by these senses in acquiring knowledge and engaging in activity. The engaged are known as a girlfriend, and the serpent, which was described as having five heads, is the life air acting within the five circulatory processes.
So kindly remember in this way, as Mataji was asking, Puranjana is the soul, Puranjani in general subtle body, but in specific intelligence and Chetana. And other subsequent components are indicated here. Initially in the story, we saw that the Puranjani is accompanied by 11 male servants, and they are accompanied by hundreds of female servants. So who are the male friends of the Puranjani? The 10 male friends of the Puranjani are the 10 senses. 5 knowledge acquiring senses, 5 action senses, and karmendriyas. And the 11th friend was mind. He the commander in chief, he the senapati, something like that. The female friends are the actions of the senses. The attendants of the male friends were their activities, the sensory activities, activities of the jnaniyas and karmendriyas. The snake with 5 heads is the life air with 5 different functions. Prana, apana, samana, vyana, udana. The 5 heads represent the 5 pranas. The snake in total represents the breathing. It is by breathing only the 5 pranas are sustained. So in that way. The snake has 5 heads, 5 different functions. Prana, apana, udana, vyana and samana. So it's like that. And then next Narada Muni says, Bruhadbalam manovidyat ubhayendriya nayakam panchala pancha vishaya yanmadde navakam puram.
The 11th attendant, who is the commander of the others, is known as the mind. He is the leader of the senses both in the acquisition of knowledge and in the performance of work. The Panchala kingdom is that atmosphere in which the five sense objects are enjoyed. Within that Panchala kingdom is the city of the body, which has 9 gates.
Yeah. One should know that the powerful mind, Bruhat Balam Mano, the mind is the 11th friend with the commander in chief, with the Senapati. So kindly understand that the powerful mind is the leader of the 10 senses. Indriya Nayakam. Ubaya Indriya Nayakam. Ubaya Indriya means both Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas. The Panchala states are the 5 senses, the 5 sense objects within which the city of 9 gates is situated. Within the city of 9 gates, within the entire palace, there are 5 sections. So the 5 sections represents the 5 sense objects. So the Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These are representing the 5 sections of the entire city. We saw in the previous story that there were nice gardens, waterfalls, and lakes. So in the gardens, there are so many trees are there. The trees are filled with birds. The birds are constantly making sounds. And from the waterfalls, nice water is dropping down, and the water droplets are going around and touching the skin. That is a touch sensation. And everything is very much greenery, looking beautiful. That is the farm sensation, farm. And everything is fragrant. That is smell. And the water is very tasty. Taste also. There are so many fruits also there in the trees. They are also kind of taste. So like that, the story explained in the past. The 11 warriors were described. The leader is mind, which has great strength. Navakam Puram means the city with 9 gates. The city is the grass body consisting of the 9 gates. So what are those 9 gates will be mentioned in the next verse. So slowly the description is coming down. The Puranjana is the Atma, Avijnat Sakai the Paramatma, and Puranjani is intelligence and Chetana. The 10 senses are the Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas. The Bruhat Bala Nayaka, Ubaya Indriya Nayaka is the mind. So Ubaya Indriya Nayaka is the mind, within the bracket Ahankara. Mind always exists along with the Ahankara. The mind is like the personal assistant or personal secretary of the Ahankara. Ahankara is the boss, mind is the personal secretary. So something like that. Like that, we have covered all the elements. 5 Jnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, Man, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chetana. And the 5 sections of the city is 5 Tanmataras. And the city itself is a grass body made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. So 24 elements are covered. This is how the body is made. So now the 9 entrances to the city of 9 gates. What are the 9 gates are mentioned now? Akshini Nasike Karnau Mukam Shishna Gudav iti Dve Dve Dvaro Bahiryati Yastat Indriya Samyutaha.
The eyes, nostril, and ears are the pairs of gates situated in one place. The mouth, genital, and rectum are also different gates. Being placed in a body having these 9 gates, the living entity acts in the material world and enjoy the sense objects like form and taste.
Yeah. The 9 gates are 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, mouth, penis, and anus. So 2 plus 2 plus 2, 6, 7, 8, 9th. These are the 9 gates to the human body. 9 openings to the human body. The jiva goes out along with the senses through the doors. All our enjoyment takes place through these 9 openings only. We want to see something, we want to hear something, we want to smell something, we want to taste something. So all these things are happening through these gates only. That's how it is mentioned. The jiva with the intention of enjoyment goes out through these 9 gates to the respective sense objects. Comes back for the enjoyment. So in that way. Vede Dwaram should also include the mouth, genital, and anals. By these gates, the jiva goes out along with the senses. So it is like that. So now the details are mentioned. Akshini nasike asyam iti pancha purakritah dakshina dakshinaha karna uttara chotaraha smrita paschime iti ado dvaro gudam shishnam ihochyate.
Two eyes, two nostrils, and a mouth, altogether five, are situated in the front. The right ear is accepted as the southern gate and the left ear the northern gate. The two holes or gates situated in the west are known as the rectum and genital organ.
Yeah. The two eyes, the two nostrils, and mouth are the eastern gates. Just like early in the morning, when we want to do Surya Namaskar, we face ourselves towards sun. Our right hand is towards south. Our left hand is towards north. So like that. Our back is towards the west. So in that way, if you take the two eyes, the two nostrils, and the mouth are in the eastern gate. So those who are there in the face, they are on the eastern side, in the front side of the face. And the two ears are in the north and south. The penis and anus are the western gates, which are below. So in that way, they are taken. The city faces east. This is the front side of the Puranjana. So in that way. The city main entrance is in the eastern side. That's how it is said like that. So now one sense is explained with their names. Kadyota virmukhi chatra netre ekatra nirmite rupam vibrajitam tabhyam vichaste chakshusheshwaraha.
The two gates named Kadyota and Avirmukhi, which have been spoken of, are the two eyes side by sides in one place. The town name Vibrajita should be understood as form. In this way, the two eyes are always engaged in seeing different kinds of forms.
The two gates named Kadyota and Avirmukhi, which have been mentioned, are the two eyes. The right eye and left eye are called Kadyota and Avirmukhi, and they are constructed side by side. The city called Vibrajita. Vibrajita is the section in the palace which is brightly shining. Vibrajita. Brajita means shining. Vibrajita means brightly shining. Is a sense object called form. The jiva sees the sense sees by the sense organ eye. So the jivatma going through the two eyes observes different forms in this world. We see everything in front of us through our two eyes. So that's how it is. So whenever the Puranjana want to go out of the city and then observe something, he goes through these two gates in the eastern side, and there he will see some object called Vibrajita. There he will see a city called Vibrajita, means basically the sense object or any different form that is in front of our eyes is experienced by the jiva through the via medium of the eyes. So that is understanding. The names of the eyes are the Kadyota and Avirmukhi. With his friend Dyuman, the eye sense organ, the jiva went to the sense object form. Dyuman is the eye sense organ, or the presiding deity of the eyes. Dyuman is also another name of sun. Only under sunlight we'll be able to see something. If there is no sunlight, we can't see. So in that way. With sunlight or electricity light or torchlight, whatever, any form of light is Juman. And he is the lord of the subtle sense organ. So it is both the combination together are called Juman. Puranjana went with his friend Dyuman to the city of Vibrajita by the two gates, Kadyota and Avirmukhi. This means that the Jiva, along with the subtle sense organ of the eye, that is Dyuman, contacts the sense object, that is Vibrajita, through the grass organ of the eye, through the two gates. So that is the understanding.
Vibrajita outside.
Yeah, Vibrajita is outside form. You are Vibrajita for me. I am Vibrajita for you. So this room is Vibrajita for us because it is brightly shining because of the light. When there is no light, andhakar ban jayega, that we cannot see. Even though it is there, we can't see. We only see those objects which are shining. If something is dark, we can't see. So in that way. Vibrajita means everything that is in front of us, which is bright, which we can see. So in that way. So after the eyes are mentioned, now the two nostrils are mentioned. Nalini nalini nase gandha saurabha uchyate grano avaduto mukyasyam vipanno vagrasa vidrasaha.
The two doors named Nalini and Nalini should be known as two nostrils, and the city named Saurabha represent aroma. The companion spoken of the as Avadhuta is the sense of smell. The door called Mukhya is the mouth, and Vipana is the faculty of speech. Rasajna is the sense of taste. Rasajna is
Rasajna konu sevata. So in that way. The two gates called Nalini and Nalini are the two nostrils, the two grass nostrils, the fleshy nostrils. The place called Saurabha is the sense object smell. Saurabha is a flower garden which has fragrance. Saurabha means itself is the fragrance which is there in the flower garden. That is the object. Avaduta refers to the sense organ called the nose. Grano, the subtle sense organ is called Avaduta. Avaduta is that personality who can go anywhere freely. There is flesh nostril, that is Nasika. Okay. There is subtle sense organ, that is Grana, which actually takes the smell information from the garden to the core of the heart, where intelligence and mind are situated. That subtle sense organ is Grana. So like that, the smelling activity takes place. So the soul, with the help of Grana, goes out of the two nostrils and goes to the garden and experiences the fragrance. So it's like that. And then there is mouth. The gate called Mukhya is the mouth. Mukhya means Mukham. Vipana is the voice. Rasajna is the sense organ called the tongue. The mouth has two functions. One is to speak, other one is to taste. So both are mentioned here. So vak is there to speech and rasa is about taste. So in the case of nostril, nostril also has two functions. One function is to smell. Other function is to breathe. Breathing also happens to the nostril only. So that's why it is called as Avaduta. Avaduta means shaking. It refers to air. Air is used in breathing and air is also used in smelling, which is performed with the nose also. Therefore, the nose is called as Avaduta. Basically, the breathing is called Avaduta function. Prabhupada writes that Avaduta means you can go freely anywhere and everywhere. कुछ restriction नहीं उनका. Scriptural rules and regulations are not there. A Avadut मतलब we normally say that he does not follow rules and regulations. So he is on his own way. Such kind of people we call them as Avadut. So here Avaduta is the air which can go anywhere and everywhere without any restriction. So air is called Avaduta. And the air will do two functions in relation to us. One is breathing, other one is smelling, and both are happening through nostril. Similarly, the mouth also has two functions, eating and speaking. So they are also mentioned. The functions of mouth are tasting and speaking. Vipana means the voice, rasagna or rasavit means the tongue. So like that. These are the double functions of these particular senses. So then, as further continue, आपनो व्यवहारोत्र चित्रम अंधो बहुदनम पितृः दक्षिणः कर्ण उत्तरो देवहु स्मृता.
The city called Apana represents engagement of the tongue in speech, and Bahudana is the variety of foodstuffs. The right ear is called the gate of Pitru, and the left ear is called the gate of Devahu.
Yeah. The place called Apana is speaking, and the place called Bahudana is various types of food, tasting. We have more mouth has two functions, one is speaking, other one is tasting. So unka subtle sense organs are Apana and Bahudana. Pitruhu is the right ear, Devahu is the left ear. Early in the morning when we are facing towards sunrise in the east, our right ear is toward south. Our left ear is towards north. So in that way. Chitram Anda refers to the four types of food. So the tasting takes place in terms of four varieties of things. As we read in Bhagavad Gita, Pachami Annam, Prana Pana Samayukta, Pachami Annam Chaturvidam. What are the four kinds of food? Some of them are chewed, like Bhaksham. Some of them are sipped, Bhojyam. Chewed means the right dal sabji chapati we chew. Chewing, huh? Yes, no? And sipping, like soup, we sip. And some of them are licked, lehyam, honey and Ayurveda medicine, they are all lehyam. And some of them are chusyam, are sucked, like amla. We need to chew first and then extract the rasa, juice, that is called sucking. So in that way, four kinds of food. So the next verse talks about the two ears, Pitruhu and Devahu. What are their functions? They are mentioned. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha shasram panchala samnitam pitruyanam devayanam shrotrat shruta daradvajet.
Narad Muni continued. The city spoken of as Dakshina Panchala represent the scripture meant for directing pravritti. The other city named Uttar Panchala represents the scripture meant for decreasing the fruitive activities and increasing knowledge. The living entity receives different kind of knowledge by means of 2 years, and some living entities are promoted to the Pitraloka and some to the Devaloka. All this is made possible by 2 years.
Some interesting information. Kindly remember Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter. Some of the last verses. Pitruyana, Devayana, the path of light, path of darkness. Don't remember exactly verses, but they are there. A couple of verses at the end. With the sense organ called ear, the jiva hears scriptures, encouraging enjoyment. Pravrittim Shastram refers to those Shastras which recommend one to perform Dharma, Artha, and Kama. That section of the Vedas which encourage people to practice Sakama Karma are called Pravritti Shastras, which includes accomplishment of Dharma, Artha, and Kama, which lead one to Pitruloka. So that path is called Pitruyanam. Dhumo Ratrir Aham Krishna, like during the night time, in the presence of the smoke, during Krishna Paksha, during Dakshinayana, if a person leaves the body, they will go to Pitruloka, they will enjoy there, and then will come back again, take birth. That is Pitruyana. That is called Dakshina Panchala. That they will go to Dakshina Panchala And this hearing takes place by the right ear, which is located in the south. As we look into the eastern side, our face is towards east, and our right ear is toward the south. And south ear is meant for hearing Pravrutti Shastra, which is aiming at accomplishing Dharmartha Kama, whose end goal is Pitruloka. And one hears scriptures for liberation, that is Nivrutti Shastram, by the left ear in north, located in the northern direction. Through left ear, one should hear about how to attain moksha. Nivrutti Shastra means that section of the Vedic literatures which talk about accomplishing moksha. Moksha in general, people consider it to be Sayujya Mukti. But moksha, from our case, we can take 5 kinds of mukti. Sayujya, Salokya, Sarishti, Samipya, and Sarupya, according to one's desire. Anything. And we can also say it's in the bracket and Krishna Prema. From Bhakti point of view, from Gaudiya Vaishnava Bhakti point of view, Krishna Prema also. So that Nivrutti Shastras includes Sayujya, Sarupya, Saripya, Sayujya, Sarishti, Salokya, Samipya, and Sarupya, and also Krishna Prema. So that is done by Nivrutti Shastras, which is heard by the left ear, which is located toward the northern direction. So these are the functions of different ears. So it's like that. Sudhidhara is the one who hears. So he's called Sudhidhara.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, is there any difference? Like earlier, also 2-3 verses, I was thinking that there are some of the sense organs, there are pairs like eyes or nostrils or ears. So why it should have been 2 pairs? I was thinking that if one organ can do the function, the same function, same type, do pair mein diya hai. And then here now we are hearing that left ear means at my level I don't understand material intelligence. If left ear we hear something or right here we hear something, the process of hearing and the path of ear and that everything is same, so how it makes difference really?
No, actually, it is not exactly like that. One only hears through left ear about Pravrutti Shastra, right ear, Shastra, left ear, Nivrutti. It's not like that. It is a story, na allegorical story. It is like gate. This in the story, the ear is called as gate. If you come out of the city through southern gate, you will get to see things those which give you sensory satisfaction. If you come out of the northern gate, you get to see those things which will give you eternal happiness, liberation, etc. etc. That is actually functional point of view. That is not a literary expression. Here, we instead of considering them as right ear, left ear, we should treat them as the south and north. That is more appropriate. South means Dakshinayana, that indicates going to Pitruloka. North means Uttarayana, that is going to Brahman or Bhagavan.
Okay. Because generally, Diksha time, the second initiation guru gives mantra. It is also said na, that left ear, one should hear from the left ear, left side.
I mean,
So
that technical details I don't know, but what I understood is from the point of view of going to north and going to south, that Uttara, that path of light, path of darkness, that's why I mentioned. Remember 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
During Uttarayana time, during Dakshina time. Uttarayana time, if you leave the body, I mean, in the sense, at least one who has practiced sadhana throughout the life, along with the sun, they'll go towards north. That is going back to Godhead. During Dakshina, they'll go to Pitraloka and Swargaloka and come back. That's why Bhishma Dev waited till Uttarayana began. And after Uttarayana began, he offered prayers to Krishna, and on Bhishma Ashtami, the day after Rath Saptami, he left his body and went back to Godhead. So it's like that. This concept is there from time immemorial.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna Shukle Gatiri Yeta Shashwati Sama. Lord Krishna says that people consider them to be the eternal paths. They are there from the beginning of the creation. These are not like something new. So like that we should see them.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Devayana refers to going to demigod planets, or it's going directly getting liberated?
Devayana refers to going back, going out of the universe.
Okay.
Pitruyana refers to going to Pitraloka or Sargaloka.
Okay.
It is like that.
Okay. So
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
So, Prabhuji, there is some connection here. North, that way, Narad Muni also, after lighting the pyre of his mother, moved towards the north. The Pandavas, Yudhishthira moved towards the north.
Yes, perfect. Dhruva Maharaj, or Prithu
Yes.
Maharaj, everyone went to north. North means only going back, only no coming back. Going to the spiritual world, no coming back.
Okay,
So
thank you.
going to Swarga and going to Pitraloka, they'll come back again. Teta Mukta Sarga Lokam Vishalam Shine Punne Martulokam Vishanti. But north means Yad Gatva Nivartante Taddama Paramamma. Having gone there, no one will return. Having attained Sahajya Mukti or Salokya Sarish Samipya Sarupya, no one will return again into this material world. So that is north.
We can say like that. Uttarayan those passing darshan is go to.
No, not like that. See, that is the auspicious time for the Jnanis and Yogis to leave the body because they take the help of sun. They have to travel a lot. Devotees depend on the Lord, but the Jnana and Yoga practitioners, they depend upon their own endeavor to attain Brahman. So in order to attain Brahman, they take the help of the sun who is going towards north. From Bhuloka all the way up to Dhruvaloka, you will take the help of sun. And from there on, you will move on, passing through Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, and then passing through 7 layers of the universe, they enter into Brahman. It is a process, depends upon self-endeavor. That's why they raise prana from the Mooladhara chakra all the way up to Agnya chakra. They pierce in through the Brahmarandha, they live. That will give them the free path passage. So in that way. So instead of seeing it as right ear, left ear, the right ear, left ear is only from the functional point of view, but we hear through both the ears. It is not that one ear we block, other ear we open, not like that. The understanding is that the north and south. The south indicates Dharmartha Kama. North indicate Moksha and Krishna Prema. It's like that. So we should aspire to be in the category of the north going people, not in the south going people. So that is what is indicated indirectly. Any other question based on what we discussed till now?
No, Prabhuji, thank you.
No,
Okay.
thank you, Prabhuji.
So we'll take a couple of minutes break and then we'll continue. Correction. Hare Krishna. Devotees are there. We'll continue.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. आसुरी मेद्रम अर्वाग्द्वार व्यवायो ग्रामीणाम्रति उपस्थो दुर्मदः प्रोक्तो निरतिर्गुद उच्यते.
A city called Gramakam, which is approached through the lower gate of Asuri, the genital, is meant for sex, which is very pleasing to common men who are simply fools and rascals. The faculty of procreation is called Drumada, and the rectum is called Niritti. Durmada.
Asuri, the lower door is the penis. Sex life, the place called Gramaka. Durmada is the sense organ called the penis. The gate called Niriti is the anus. Gramaka is the sense object of the penis. It is called the here enjoyment of the materialistic people. It is defined as sex life. So it is about the generating organ. So its sense object vagara is mentioned. So Prabhupada talks about the sahajiyas in the holy places, especially in Vrindavan and other holy places, how the sahajiyas are indulging extravagantly in such activities. They eventually become lower species in holy place, something like that Prabhupada mentions. Vaishasam narakampayu lubdako andautu me shrunu astapado pumam stabhyam yukto yati karotischa.
When it is said that Puranjana goes to Vaishasa, it is meant that he goes to hell. He is accompanied by Lubdhaka, which is the working sense in the rectum. Formerly, I have also spoken of two blind associates, and these associates should be understood to be the hands and legs. Being helped by the hands and legs, the living entity performs all kinds of work and moves hither and thither.
Vaishasa, the sense object of the anus, means hell. Vaishasam narakam. Lubdaka is the anus sense organ. So basically, the last karmendriya, the anus is mentioned. So it is called hell also because previously also we discussed that people leave their body through one of these 9 openings. Those people who led a life of piety, they generally leave the body through the 7 openings, 7 upper openings, either by opening eyes or by opening mouth or by opening ears or nostril. But those people who led a life of sin, they leave their body through the 2 lower openings, either anus or genital. So it is said that when such kind of people die, they actually at the time of death, looking at the fearful forms of Yamadutas, they pass stool and urine, and along with the stool and urine, they come out of the gross body. So here the hell is indicated in relation to anus, indicates that so generally the sinful people leave the body through anus. So that is understanding. Narakam, they'll go to hell, taken by the two taken by those Yamadutas. So in that way. The 2 blind men are the hands and feet by which men perform actions and move about. So in the story, it was said that Puranjana, with the help of the 2 blind men, he would perform so many activities, such as moving about from one place to other place, collecting things and giving away things. So these are the functions of the legs and hands. Since they don't have any openings, they are called blind men. So in that way. So like that, all the 5 Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, and mind, intelligence, ego, Chetana, all are indicated. So one after the other, they all mentioned. Then, having married Puranjani, having entered the city of 9 gates, what did Puranjana do? So his further activities are narrated in the upcoming verses. Antam puram cha hrudayam visuchirmana uchyate tatra moham prasadam va harsham prapnoti tadgunam.
The word Antapura refers to the heart. The word Vishuchina, meaning going everywhere, indicates the mind. Within the mind, the living entity enjoys the effects of the modes of material nature. These effects sometimes cause illusion, sometimes satisfaction, and sometimes jubilation.
The inner chamber refers to the heart. So inner chamber is the Antapura. Antapura is basically the queen's chamber in the city. In the capital city of a kingdom. There is Rajya Sabha where administration takes place, and there is Antapura. Antapura is basically the queen's chamber where the queen is attended by so many maid servants, etc. So within the human body, the Antapura is the heart. Heart is the queen's chamber. So along with the queen, there states the mind with the commander-in-chief of all the because the queen had 11 friends. Among the 11 friends, the most powerful friend was the 11th one, that was the mind. So mind is said to be residing in the heart, in the queen's chamber. The jiva experiences illusion, satisfaction, and joy through its natures of tamas, sattva, and rajas. So mind is the storehouse of all our experiences. So in the mode of goodness, we experience satisfaction. In the mode of passion, we experience joy. In the mode of ignorance, we experience illusion. All these three different kinds of experiences are stored in the mind, which itself is staying in the heart. So that is the understanding. So whatever experiences we go through, good or bad, everything is stored within our mind. And whenever the similar kind of stimuli will come in front of us, the mind will pop up the past experience, all the past experiences that we gone through in relation to that person or that object or that kind of person, that kind of object. So this is how the mind functions. By mind's qualities of tamas, sattva, and rajas, jiva experiences illusion, satisfaction, and joy. That means whenever we perform activities in the mode of ignorance, we experience illusion. When we perform activities in the mode of goodness, we experience satisfaction. When we perform activities in the mode of passion, we experience joy. So all these are the emotions experienced by the mind and stored within the mind. So in that way. And Prabhupada quotes the verse from third chapter, Prakriti Kriyamanani Gune Karmani Sarvasha Ahankara Vimudatma Kartamit Mandate. So Prabhupada said that everything is actually done by the mind only. All the experiences are taken place within the mind. But we say that I am going through the experience, I am doing, I am experiencing. So that is because of Ahankara. Because we identify with our gross body and subtle body. So we think that whatever is being done by the mind, we are only doing. Whatever being experienced by the mind, we are only experiencing. Like that we tend to say. That's how Prabhupada quote this verse. Yata yata vikriyate gunakto vikaroti va tata tatopa drashtatma tadvritti anukaryate.
Formerly, it was explained that the queen is one's intelligence. While one is awake or asleep, that intelligence creates different situations. Being influenced by the contaminated intelligence, the living entity envisions something and simply imitates the actions and reactions of his intelligence.
Whatever changes the intelligence undergoes during sleep or however it transforms the senses during waking state, the jiva contaminated by the qualities of the intelligence imitates the intelligence's actions. So basically, either in waking state or in dreaming state or in deep sleep. Whatever buddhi dictates the senses to do, that's what is being done by the senses, and the soul simply follows. The soul simply goes through the experiences of all those activities that are done by the senses. So this is the explanation of the verse which was said that in the chapter 25 at the end, that Puranjana is simply following Puranjani. After marrying Puranjani, whatever Puranjani said, he simply followed. Whenever Puranjani wanted to eat, Puranjana ate. Whenever Puranjani wanted to sleep, Puranjana slept. Whenever Puranjani wanted to walk, Puranjana walked. Whenever Puranjani wanted to sit, Puranjana sits. So like that. Whatever the queen did, the king followed. However, the intelligence changes during a dream, and whatever senses it transforms in the waking state, the Atma, contaminated by the qualities of that intelligence, imitates its functions such as seeing or touching. So basically, either in waking state or a dreaming state or sleep state, whatever the intelligence says, senses, whatever order the intelligence gives to the senses are performing the activities, and the soul simply follows. So, in that way, the Atma is simply a witness and acts by the force of the intelligence. The intelligence is the cause, the Jiva acting. The intelligence is the cause of the Jiva acting. Jiva on his own cannot act. Intelligence only dictating the senses to act, and Jiva simply follows the activities performed by the senses under the supervision of the intelligence. Just like a Puranjana was simply following after Puranjani, whatever Puranjani says, do it. So Puranjana was simply doing that. So that's what is happening with us currently. Our intelligence, the plan maker, makes a plan, the senses execute, and we simply, the soul simply follows. So it's like that. So that was about 25th chapter. Till this verse, the explanation of the 25th chapter is mentioned. Next three verses talks about the 26th chapter. The king went for hunting on a chariot. The chariot was compared to a body. So that was the storyline of the 26th chapter that will be indicated in these three verses. Deho ratastu indriyashva samvastarayogati dvikarma chakras triguna dvaja panchasu bandura manorashmir buddhisuto hrudnido द्वन्द्वकूबरः प्रक्षेपा सप्तधातुवरूतकः आकूतिर्विक्रमो बाह्यो मृगतृष्णां प्रधावति एकादशेन्द्रियचमो पञ्चसूना विनोदकृत्.
Narad Muni continued, what I referred to as chariot was in actuality the body. The senses are the horses that pull that chariot. As time passes, year after year, these horses run without obstruction, but in fact they make no progress. Pious and impious activities are the two wheels of the chariot. The three modes of the material nature are the chariot's flags. The five types of life air constitute the living entity's bondage, and the mind is considered to be the root. Intelligence is the chariot driver. The heart is the sitting place in the chariot, and the dualities of life, such as pleasure and pain, are the knotting places. The seven elements are the coverings of the chariot, and the working senses are the five external processes. The 11 senses are the soldiers being engrossed in sense enjoyment. The living entity seated on the chariot hankers after fulfillment of his false desires and runs after sense enjoyment, life after life.
Yeah, this is the meaning of those verses in the 26th chapter. The chariot is the body, Deho Rataha. The 5 horses are the 5 senses, Indriya, Ashwa. These are the 5 knowledge acquiring senses. Its speed is the force of time, Samvasarayo Gati. Force of time in the form of year after year. By the way, today is the last day of the 2022. So in that 1 year is passing. The cycle is again starting tomorrow onwards from the point of view. New calendar. The 2 wheels are the sin and piety. Dvi karma chakra. The 2 chakras are the pious and impious activities. The 3 flags are the 3 gunas. The 5 connecting rods are the 5 life airs. Pancha Ashu Banduraha. The life airs connect our gross body with the subtle body. They are the interconnecting via medium. The life airs generally. So they are the 5 Ashu Banduram. The bridle or the rope which controlling the horses is the mind. Mano Rashmi. The driver is the intelligence of Chitta. Buddhi Suto. Here Buddhi means both it indicates intelligence as well as the Chitta. So they are the charioteer of the chariot. The seat is the heart. Hrud Nido. The charioteer sits on the seat. The seat is the heart. The 2 poles attached to the yoke are the happiness and distress. Dvandva Kubara. The 2 poles attached to the yoke and are the happiness and distress. From the axle to the yoke, there are 2 poles will be there which will be connecting the chariot. They are called the 2 Dvandva Kubara. They indicate happiness and distress. Here the Hrudnido, the seat is the seat of both the driver and the seat of the passenger also. So because the heart is the sitting place for the subtle body as well as soul also. Soul and super soul, everyone is there in subtle body only. The heart is the seat of everyone in that sense. The 5 weapons are the 5 sense objects. Pancha Indriya Artha Prakshepa. So the arrows are meant to hit the target. They are not supposed to stay in the Akshaturi only always. They are supposed to go and hit the target. The targets are the 5 sense objects for the 5 Jnanendriyas. So in that way. The 7 coverings are the 7 dhatus. So in our body we have 7 dhatus. So the skin, blood, mucus, blood, flesh, bone, marrow, etc. All those things. The 5 exploits are the actions of the action senses. Akutir, Vikramo, Bhagyo. So 5 different kinds of exploits are the 5 activities of the 5 senses, 5 karmendriyas. The 11 commanders are the 11 senses. Ekadasha Indriya Chamum. Going for hunting on the chariot means seeking material pleasure through the 5 senses. Panchashuna Vinodakrut. So the king going for hunting means the jiva going for sense gratification. So that is the meaning of those 3 verses which were given there in the chapter 26. The momentum of the chariot in the form of the year is chariot's quick motion, Ashugam, mentioned as Ashugam in 426.1. Another version of the first line is Samvastarascha Tatkripam Rayaha. The chariot speed is the year. We say na 60 kilometers per hour, 70 kilometers per hour. That is indicated in the form of years. Year 2022, year 2023, like that, something like that. The flags refers to 3 Venum in 426.1. There are 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tama. These are referring to 3 flags. The 5 weapons are the 5 sense objects, such as sound, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. The 5 action senses are the exploits. So whatever activities such as speaking, collecting some objects and giving away, they are the activities of 5 and karmendriyas. So what is this P? Means we know the Krut. Pradavati. Mrugadrishnam Pradavati means it's supposed to be Pradavati means enjoying objects sinfully through the five senses. The king is going for hunting. That hunting means enjoying sense objects. This is an explanation of going out for hunting. So that was mentioned in the 26th chapter. The king goes for hunting, and when he comes back, queen becomes unhappy, and then he pacifies the queen. And since then, he simply listened the queen. He never left the queen. So that's how the story goes on. After living a complete life, eventually he became old. When he became old, so many things are started attacking him. We heard about Chandavega, Gandharvas, Yavanas, Yavana Raja Baya, and Kalakanya Jara, and finally our Vishnu Jara, Prajvara. Vishnu Jara and Shiva Jara, they all attacking him, and eventually goes to hell, Naraka. So that is all mentioned now, the 28th chapter, the 27th chapter. संवत्सरश्चण्डवेग कालयेनोपलक्षितः तस्याः नेह गन्धर्वा गन्धर्व्यो रात्रया स्मृता हरन्ति आयुष्परिक्रान्त्या षष्ट्युत्तरशतत्रयम्.
What was previously explained as Chandavega, powerful time, is covered by days and nights, named Gandharvas and Gandharvis. The body's lifespan is gradually reduced by the passage of days and nights, which number 360.
Yeah. Chandavega is the year by which time is perceived. The male Gandharvas are the days, and the female Gandharvas are the nights. By the rotation of 360 days and 360 nights, the lifespan decreases by 1 year. So Chandavega is 1 year. He has 360 Gandharva soldiers, 360 Gandharvi soldiers. So in 1 year, there are 360 day times and 360 night times. So this is indicating passage of year after year. Then Kalakanya. Kalakanya jara sakshal lokastamnabhimnandati स्वसारं जगृहे मृत्युः क्षयया यवनेश्वरः.
What was described as Kalakanya should be understood as old age. No one wants to accept old age, but Yavaneshwara, Yavan Raja, who is death, accepts Jara as his sister.
The daughter of time is old age. Kalakanya. Kalakanya means the daughter of time is the Jara, old age. People do not want to meet her. No one likes old age. No one wants to become old. The king of the Yavanas is death personified. Baya or Mrutyum. Mrityu Yavanesh. He accepted her as a sister for destroying the world. So in that way, Mrityu personified accepted Jara as his sister as well as his wife, so that they can combinedly destroy the entire world. So indicating that the old age comes and he will followed by death. That is understanding. Death accepts old age as his sister for destroying the people, or he accepted her as his sister for his own destruction. Because she came in the family of Adharma, he became her husband, though she was his sister. So in the 4th canto, in the 8th chapter, there was the description about Adharma lineage, wherein the brother and sister gets married and they give birth to 2 children, boy and girl. Again they marry, they give birth to 2 children, twin boy and girl. Again they marry, they give birth to 2 children, boy and girl. They marry. So they are all different deities of that particular function, and they themselves indicate the religious activities. So in that way, but Jara is merciful to the Vaishnavas. By the order of Narada, she helps them surpass death. So outside people in general become afraid of old age. But according to Narada Muni, the devotee is supposed to become happy by old age, because now they understand that old age has come in, very soon death will come. So I'm going back home back to Godhead. I don't have to worry. I should be happy. Like that they feel happy. Like that Narada Muni says. Even the old age attacks devotees, but the devotees are not affected by old age. Instead of becoming sorry, they become happy. So that is the understanding. So here is a brief description of that Adharma lineage, which is from 8th chapter, text number 2 to 6. Simply the translations are there. Lord Brahma's son, Adharma, had a wife named Lying. He married Lying, and she gave birth to twins called Cheating and Illusion. So boy and girl, they are supposed to be brother and sister, but the childless Niriti accept them as children. From Cheating and Illusion were born greed and deceit. Though they were brother and sister, they married and they gave birth to greed and deceit. And they married, they gave birth to anger and violence. And they married, they gave birth to quarrel and profanity. And they married and they gave birth to bhaya and death, fear and murtyu. So in that way. And they married, they give rise to pain and hell. Out of fear of old age, when a person dies, they'll be taken to hell with a yatana deha, with a body which only meant for giving pain, and they'll go through painful conditions in the hell by performing adharma. One who hears 3 times this purifying description cleanses his mind of all sins. So this description talks about how a person degrades and goes to hell by taking shelter of all these bad qualities. So hearing this, one should understand that I should not practice all these things so that I can avoid going to hell. That is understanding. So the description is meant for purification of our heart, not to get inspired and do all those things. So that is the understanding. So here, that fear personified by swasaram jagrihe mrityu kshaya yavaneshwara. The mrityu, of course, here mrityu is called, there it is called bhaya, but whatever it is, fear and death both are children of quarrel and profanity only. And they also have another sister Jara, and fear personified married Jara, and then they caused the death of everyone around. So that is understanding. The elements ending with hell, the family members of Adharma, have been described as the elements to be avoided. The above description is called destruction because it is a cause of destruction to the soul. The description is purifying because by hearing it, one can avoid these items and work for one's spiritual elevation. So that is the understanding. So this is how the Chandavega, Gandharvas, Gandharvis, and Yavaneshwara, Kalakanya, Jara, and all are described. The next verse talks about Prajvara, the brother of our Chanda, brother of our Yavaneshwara. He indicates Vishnu Jivara and Shiva Jivara. So that is mentioned in the next verses.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Manoj.
Prabhuji, you mentioned that in those 3 verses, na, describing the chariot and its functions, like you mentioned that life air connects our gross body with the subtle body. So can you
Not
please?
life air, the 5 pranas. The pranas connect our gross body with subtle body.
That 5 life airs, no? That's what.
5 pranas. You cannot call them a life air, they are called pranas.
Okay. So can you please elaborate on it? Like I didn't understand exactly how it happened.
See, our gross body, from the functional point of view, it is the karmendriyas, the gross body which acts as the karmendriyas. We have 2 legs, 2 hands, and the mouth. Of course, karmendriyas which are performing through the gross limbs, and also gyanendriyas which are performing activity through the gross limbs, etc., etc. Like we have fleshy eyes, nostril, ears, skin, etc., etc. So this is the gross body. There is a subtle body inside. Man, buddhi, ahankara, chetana. So the subtle body in order to facilitate enjoyment to the soul, because soul by nature is Anandamaya Abhyasa. It always wants, it is always seeking pleasure. It is the duty of the subtle body to provide pleasure to the soul. So the big boss of subtle body is Ahankara. So Ahankara gives an order to mind. A mind, please give me enjoyment. Now it is 8 o'clock in the 8:30 in the night. I'm feeling hungry. Please give me enjoyment by eating. So the mind gives order to pranas. The 5 pranas which are there within our body, and the pranas activate the gross body so that they will do the activity of eating. How? The legs start walking, the hands start moving and taking a plate from the storeroom and going to the wash basin, washing the plate, and going to the dining table, opening the upper lid and serving the meals, whatever is there on the dining table, rice, dal, sabji, chapati, sweet, pickle, papad, etc. And then sitting on the chair, and again the hands are employed to mix the rice, dal, sabji, chapati and putting in the mouth, and mouth is chewing it and swallowing it. All these are activities are happening because of the karmendriyas under the supervision of the 5 pranas. Only when the 5 pranas are proper, the karmendriyas can perform activities properly. So the activity what is happening externally is through the gross body, but it is meant to give satisfaction to the subtle body, which are internally serving the soul. The interface between the subtle body and the gross body is the 5 pranas. So like that.
Okay, okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
It is
That is
through
more,
this is our Bhagavatam understanding. From your medical science, how it is, I don't know. They all talk about the nerve system and all so many things. The signals are going through the nerves and all hands are doing all these things. But this is all happening to prana. For example, a person is sick, the prana becomes weak. A sick person cannot do any physical activity the way a normal healthy person does.
yeah.
It is due to the weakening of the pranas.
And also, Prabhuji, like when this snake of Panchaprana moves out of the gross body, that time also the soul cannot enjoy because that connection is lost now with the gross body.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Okay,
pancha pranas leaves along with the soul out when the soul about to leave the body. They all go along with the subtle body as well as the soul. All the pranas also.
yeah. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. आदयो व्यादयस्तस्य सैनिका यवनाचरा भूतोपसर्गाशुरया प्रज्वारो द्विविधो जरा एवं बहुविधैर्दुःखैर्दैवभूतात्मसम्भवै क्लिश्यमाना शतं वर्षं देहे देही तमोवृता प्राणेन्द्रियामनोधर्मान् आत्मनि अध्यस्य निर्गुणा सेते कामलवान् ममाहम् इति कर्मकृत्.
The followers of Yavaneshwara, Yamaraj, are called the soldiers of death, and they are known as the various types of disturbances that pertain to the body and mind. Prajvara represents the 2 types of fevers, extreme heat and extreme cold, typhoid and pneumonia. The living entity lying down within the body is disturbed by many tribulations pertaining to the providence, to other living entities, and to his own body and mind. Despite all kinds of tribulations, the living entity subjected to the necessities of the body, mind, and senses, and suffering from various types of disease, is carried away by many plans due to his lust to enjoy the world. Although transcendental to his material existence, the living entity out of ignorance accepts all these material miseries under the pretext of false egoism, I and mine. In this way, he lives for 100 years within this body.
The soldiers of the king of the Yavanas are the mental diseases and physical diseases. Because first the soldiers attack the city, they fight with prana and then eventually they enter city and they plunder. That is basically in the old age, a person is affected by so many physical diseases and mental diseases. Nowadays, more than physical diseases, mental diseases are there. Because there is no proper care and support and so much anxiety, etc. etc. He experiences difficulties in the body due to the elements. And then there comes Prajvara. When the person is completely attacked by these different soldiers, different diseases, when the person is bedridden, there will be one day when he is supposed to leave the body. Then Prajvara attacks. Prajvara represents the two fevers. First, Shivajvara attacks. The temperature rises to 107 Fahrenheit degrees Fahrenheit. And then immediately Vishnu Jvara attacks. When Vishnu Jvara attacks, the temperature falls down to -4 degrees centigrade. Then the soul is forced to leave the body. When Shivajvara indicates the entire city is burned to ashes. Then Vishnu Jvara indicates then there is a huge rain. Everything is gone away in the flood. But then city is completely lost. Then how can a person stay in that city which is burnt and flooded? So something like that. And Prabhupada state them as pneumonia and typhoid. He gives some examples what people go through normally in that way. Thus the jiva covered by ignorance dwells in the body for 100 years. Dehe shatam varsham, suffering from various pains due to body, mind and higher causes. Adi Bhautika Klesha, sorry, Adhyatmika Klesha, Adi Bhautika Klesha and Adi Daivik Klesha. Three types of miseries one goes through while living the body. Imposing the qualities of the life air, senses and mind on his soul. Though he is actually without material qualities, he performs actions meditating on me and mine and lies down on the particles of enjoyment. So basically, identifying oneself with the gross body and subtle body, one tries to enjoy in this material world through the help of gross body, subtle body, and eventually one is forced to take birth again and again in this material body. That means lies down on the particles of enjoyment. That means one continues to stay in this material world for the purpose of enjoying more and more life after life. So it's like that. Chara means those who move together with him quickly develop the symptoms related to the elements. That means heavy breathing, fatigue, and meaningless speech caused by wind, vata, water, cold, fire, heat of the sun, and wrong diet. These are the different things that is happening in the old age. In the old age, one's breathing becomes heavy, difficult to breathe, or in whatever case, one is easily fatigued, and one starts speaking meaningless speech, and vata increases, kapha increases, pitta increases, and temperature, heat, and other things, the wrong diet, all these things takes place. So even finally one day, that jiva will be subjected to two kinds of fever, cold and hot. Cold is Vishnu Jvara, hot is Shiva Jvara. Bhutopasargastu Arayaha. He is attacked by enemies and has pains caused by kings, thieves, and insects. So basically, in the old age, one is affected by different kinds of physical diseases, mental diseases, and problems due to one's own body, mind, and the neighbors and other living entities and by material nature. So all these things one need to suffer in the old age, especially. Narada then speaks to produce a sense of vairagya. Then he speaks something strongly in order to produce vairagya. He says that thus the jiva suffers from adidaivika, adhyatmika, and adibhautika causes. The qualities of the life here are hunger and thirst. In the old age, there is untimely hunger and untimely thirst. These are the qualities of the life airs. And the qualities of the senses are blindness, etc. People can't see properly, people can't hear properly, they can't speak properly in the old age. And the qualities of the mind are lust, etc. They want different things. मुझे ये चाहिए, वो चाहिए, वो चाहिए. There are so many desires in the mind, but they can't fulfill because the body does not support. So it is like that. Though he, that means Puranjana, is without these qualities, they are imposed on him. The soul, in its original identity, in its constitutional position, and nothing to do with hunger, thirst, blindness, kama, krodha, etc. All these are nothing to do with the soul, because currently the soul is identifying with the body and mind. These are all symptoms of the body, mind, and senses. So the soul also go through the effects because there is identity with them. So that's how one is implicated in the material situation. So that is all about the story, the meaning of the story, the meaning of different words that Nardamni used in the story. So afterwards, now Nardamni speaks about something in order to produce vairagya in the heart of our Prachina Bari. He talks about how the bondage takes place and how one should become free from the bondage, that he will tell in the next section. So any questions till now based on the meaning of the story?
No, Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Madhush.
Roji, I just wanted to know. I'm sure you must have said this before also, but what I'm hearing since this allegorical story, the activities of a person is all depending on beginning from ahankar and giving orders to mind and intelligence, and then pranas is working in everything. What is the difference between the activities of this gross body, gross and subtle body, and the activities of the soul? How do we know that whatever I'm doing right now or whatever activities is based on my ahankar or it's because of the need of my soul?
See, soul has only one need. The soul's nature is Anandamayo Abhyasad. It is constantly aspiring Ananda. So the material body, as soon as the soul comes for Ananda into material world, the material body consisting of the gross body and subtle body promises the soul that, yeah, please come, we'll provide you that Ananda which you are looking for. So it is the duty of the subtle body and the gross body constantly to provide some kind of Ananda to the soul. And they are working hard to do the needful at every moment.
But that ananda which the soul is experiencing provided by this gross and subtle body is not the real anand actually, right?
That's the problem. Currently, the gross body and subtle body, according to their acquired nature, by so many lifetimes, they have already developed a kind of vasanas. They have gone through a particular kind of training. They only know about this. This is only the Ananda. They only that much only. That is what they are giving to the soul. But when the same gross body, subtle body go through the proper training, they are trained to provide proper Ananda to the soul. For example, all of us having come into the association of devotees and we are under training, the real Ananda to the soul is by employing all our senses and mind in the service of the Supreme Lord.
Mhm.
Then that will give the real ananda to the soul. That's what we are trained in that. We are getting trained in that aspect. So we are getting trained. And outside people are getting trained in the aspect of ananda means, especially tonight, they are look for the highest ananda.
Yeah.
That is what they are trained in. So that is what they do. They do.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
So it's all depends on training.
Mhm.
What training we are giving to our subtle body.
Mhm. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I just still am not sure that even while performing spiritual activity,
Hmm.
the ananda I'm experiencing could be based on my choices. Like in spiritual activities, also sometimes we choose. Now we choose certain activities and we kind of not choose others. I won't say avoid, but not choose others. So I still feel it's still based on me myself and not exactly pleasing to the Lord. I just feel that way.
I mean, it is work in progress. It will take some more time to come to 100% perfection. We cannot expect everything happen overnight.
Yeah, yeah, obviously.
Hmm. So no
Okay.
problems. ఏన కిరణ ప్రకారణ మన కృష్ణ somehow or other do something. ऋषिकेश सेवनम. Somehow something धीरे धीरे हो जाएगा.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Prabhuji,
Mataji.
I have one doubt. Like in the previous chapter, also the same thing we have learned. And here also the same thing, like what is prajvara, what it means there, means how, why it is double two times. Like that time it was explaining for the explanation for the reader, and now it is Narad Muni is explaining it to the Prachin Bharishit. That is why it has come twice.
Yes.
Like
There Narada Muni only told the story to Prachina Bari. And Prachina Bari asking for the explanation of the story. What is the purport of the story. But for us, Srila Prabhupada and previous acharyas, they explain in advance only. What is that, what it means, what it means. So there we have studied two stories. So what you have studied now is coming again. Same thing repeating. It's kind of summary.
okay.
So in that way.
Okay, so when Narad Muni told first time to the Prachin Barishit, he was telling only it as a story. But because
Ah,
Acharyas explained us, that is why we were knowing this. And now the Narad Muni is explaining him the real meaning of the story. That is
yes,
why.
yes.
Okay,
Same
okay.
way, fifth canto also it will come. Forest of material enjoyment. There also Sukadeva Goswami tells, not Sukadeva Goswami. Rahuguna, Jadabharata tells a story to Rahuguna. Rahuguna understood the meaning of the story, but Parikshit Maharaj did not understand. So Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadeva Goswami, can you please tell me the meaning of that story? That a merchant entering into a forest and encountering by so many difficulties. There Sukadeva Goswami explained the meaning of that story in the 14th chapter. Same way, yeah, that is also another allegorical story.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Prabhu.
It's like that. यदात्मानम् अविज्ञाय भगवन्तं परं गुरुं पुरुषस्तु विसज्जेत गुणेषु प्रकृते स्वदृक् गुणाभिमानी सतदा कर्माणि कुरुते वशा शुक्लं कृष्णं लोहितं वा यथा कर्माभिजायते.
The living entity by
The
nature has minute independence to choose his own good or bad fortune. But when he forgets his supreme master, the personality of Godhead, he gives himself up to the modes of material nature. Being influenced by the modes of material nature, he identifies himself with the body and for the interest of the body becomes attached to various activities. Sometimes he is under the influence of the modes of ignorance, sometimes the mode of passion, and sometimes the mode of goodness. The living entity thus gets different types of bodies under the modes of material nature.
Hmm. Based on our activities, our destiny is determined. So now, in order to produce Vairagya in the heart of our Prachina Barhi, Narada Muni giving the teachings. अभी तक story का meaning बताया. Now he is speaking about the teachings. So when the jiva, with the self-seer, swadrik, the witness of all one's activities, forgetting the Supreme Lord, the Avijñat Saka, the Paramatma, the Supreme Guru, who is the Param Guru, the Supreme Guru of every one and all, identifies with the gunas and becomes attached to the gunas. Identifies with the gunas means identifies with one's own gross body, subtle body. And becomes attached to the gunas means becomes attached to the sense objects. Everything that gives one enjoyment. So they are all sense objects. He helplessly performs actions in Sattva-guna, Rajoguna and Tamaguna and takes births according to his actions. That means forgetting the Supreme Lord who is accompanying us as Paramatma, identifying with our own gross body and subtle body, becoming overly attached to the sense objects around us. In order to fulfill our material desires, people perform activities in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, and hence they will get birth accordingly. Urdhvam gachanti satvastha. Satvaguna activities takes one to Pitruloka or Sargaloka, and Madhye tishtanti rajasa. Rajoguna activities gives birth again as a human birth in the Bhuloka. Adho gachanti tamasa. Jagagarna gunavritisya. Those people who perform sinful activities in the mode of ignorance, first they will be taken to hell, and eventually they will be getting the birth in the lower species, and so and so, so and so, so and so. So that is what happens in this material world. Srila Prabhupada quotes the verse from Bhagavad Gita chapter 13. Purusha prakriti stoi bhungte prakriti jangunan karanam guna sangasya tadas yoni janmashu. So being situated in the material body, the jiva tries to enjoy the sense objects. As a result, one gets birth in the good yoni and bad yoni, something like that. Or Mishra yoni. Atmanam means Paramatma, Shukla means Sattva, Krishna means Tamas, Lohita means Rajat. So he's telling that based on the type of activities, one's destiny is determined. So Puranjana, the Prachina Bari might say, oh, I am performing sattvic activities. All these Vedas are recommending. I should not be bound in this material world. Like that he might say. So keeping that in mind, our Narada Muni is trying to set the background. From there, he will rise above, and he will elevate his consciousness. Then he says that Shuklat Prakasha Bhuishtal Lokan Apnoti Karhichit Dukko Darkan Kriyayasham Tama Shokotkatan Kvachit.
Those who are situated in the mode of goodness act piously according to Vedic injunctions. Thus, they are elevated to the higher planetary systems where the demigods live. Those who are influenced by the mode of passion engage in various types of productive activities in the planetary systems where human beings live. Similarly, those influenced by the mode of darkness are subjected to various types of misery and live in the animal kingdom.
Yeah. By actions, one attains the planets illuminated by knowledge. That means one goes to Pitruloka or Sargaloka, the upper planet system. Urdhvam gachanti satvastha. Sometimes he attains planets whose final result is suffering and filled with efforts for action. Sometimes he attains planets filled with ignorance and lamentation. So the first line is Sattva-guna, the second line is Rajoguna. While performing activities in Rajoguna, one attains those abodes whose final result is suffering and filled with efforts for action. So that is like human, where one need to work hard in order to get small happiness. So in that way. And those who perform activities in the mode of ignorance, sometimes he attains planets filled with ignorance and lamentation. They'll be taken to hell, or they'll be taken to lower species where there is only ignorance and continued lamentation. So these are the 3 destinies for 3 different kinds of activities. So this is simply the same translation of Urdhvam Gachanti Sattva, Madhya Tishtanti Rajasa, Jaganna Gunatisa, Adho Gachanti Tamasa. He attains abodes whose final result is suffering, and he makes efforts by action. He attains tamasic abode filled with ignorance and lamentation. So it's like fair enough. Based on one's activities, one's destiny is determined. So in that way. And the last verse for today, verse number 29. Kvachit puman kvachit chastri kvachin no bayamandadi devo manushya stiryagva yata karma gunam bhava.
Covered by the mode of ignorance in material nature, the living entity is sometimes a male, sometimes a female, sometimes a eunuch, sometimes a human being, sometimes a demigod, sometimes a bird, an animal, and so on. In this way, he is wandering within the material world. His acceptance of different types of bodies is brought about by his activities under the influence of the modes of nature.
So now one may question, what do you mean by going to the planets of illumination and going to the planets filled with suffering and effort, lot of action? What do you mean by going to the planets filled with ignorance and lamentation? So that is mentioned here. This foolish jiva is sometimes a man, sometimes a woman, and sometimes a eunuch. These 3 people are around us. In our place, we see these 3 category people. But in bigger sense, sometimes he is a devata. When he goes to upper planets, he will become a devata, Gandharva, Kinnara, Kimpurusha, so etc. And in human loka, in Bhuloka, in the mode of passion, one becomes a human being. And in tamas and ignorance and lamentation indicated by animal species, the lower species. So this is how they will become all these things. So normally, sometimes devata, sometimes as human, sometimes as animal. And in the human, sometimes as a man, sometimes as a woman, sometimes as a eunuch. Thus, one's birth takes place according to the gunas and one's actions. Guna and karma. According to one's guna and karma, one's destiny is decided or predetermined. So this verse answers, why did Puranjana become a woman? Why did Puranjana become Vaidarbhi after passing through all the different things? As per the storyline, Puranjana after going to hell, he went through punishment, he went through different species, and he also went to heaven. Then finally he came back to Bharatavarsha and appeared as the daughter of King of Vidarbha. Her name was Vaidarbhi. So that's how Puranjana became Vaidarbhi. So that is answered here. Now Ubhayam means eunuch, neither man nor woman. One attains birth without surpassing gunas and karma. That means our next birth is based on our gunas and karmas. The gunas that we cultivate and the karmas that we perform. That's how our next birth is determined. So this is how Narada Muni is slowly developing the platform. After developing this platform, he will tell that this is how one is bound. The process to get out of this is to practice sadhana. The sadhana includes karma, jnana, yoga, and ultimately culminates in bhakti. So like that, Narada Muni slowly, the spiritual instructions he will teach. So we'll stop here. Any questions based on what we discussed?
Prabhuji, what kind of we saw that Puranjana was thinking about his wives and thus he got the next birth as a female woman. So what kind of thinking or desiring gives rise to a birth of a eunuch?
I don't know what kind of that exactly. I don't know. We are studying the principle. Sometimes it happens like that, neither here nor there,
Okay.
as a result of some activity, good or bad, whatever.
Okay. Because I also don't know much things about the eunuchs, so I not able to think what it.
If one is too frustrated with both the gender, then such kind of people might become eunuch or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Thank you.
Correct. Others, anyone else has any question or anything to say? Otherwise, we'll continue tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Grantara
Krishna
Srimad Bhagavatam
Prabhuji,
ki jai. Yes, Mataji, you are saying something?
No, Prabhuji, I just said thank you.
Okay, okay. Thank you.